Right then, people, we're back inside the building. Welcome back to Breakfast with KXVU. We are live on Trickstar Radio, and we are moving into interview hour. We're joined by a very special guest this morning. We've gone international, people. We're going international here on the show. We're joined by the wonderful, the illustrious DJ Absurd. How are you doing this morning, my friend? Are you good?
All good.
Good to have you on the show, man. Thank you for joining us this morning. What time is it over there?
1 hour forward, so it's about 10ish.
Okay, cool. So not too bad then. Not super early.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, cool. So we've got a fair few things to discuss today. I've been looking forward to this one. Obviously, I've been following what you've been doing production-wise, and obviously what you've been doing kind of radio-wise as well. So obviously with this show, there's a real kind of wide range of guests that do join us from different sort of backgrounds and different sort of musical interests. So what I want to kind of do to open the conversation up to begin with is ask the question that I love to ask, which is, for those who aren't aware, who is DJ Absurd?
Wow, that's a deep one to enter. I would say, in a simple way, I'm a bass music producer, DJ, and overall activist.
Okay, cool. So when you say activist, what do you mean by activist?
I mean that when I'm not producing or DJing, I also do radio show, and I'm trying to push up the music I love in the community and try to be helpful for the community as well, obviously.
Okay, cool.
That's what I mean by activist, within the music team.
Okay, cool. Okay, that makes sense. And I think it's a good way of looking at it, of course, because the interesting thing with your sound, obviously, is that it is so... obviously, grime is such an interesting genre when we look through the sort of history of it. How did you first kind of stumble across grime and bass in general?
Well, someone in my family got sent out of France because he was acting like was poor behavior there. So his parents sent him to a private school in London. And after spending a few months there, he kept on calling me saying like, yo, you need to come London, man, that's a sick place. There's a lot of people like us there, you're going to love it. And he was sending me tapes, like pirate show tapes, garage shows, and jungle shows and that. And I kind of fell in love with the music first. Then came for visiting him and went to my first garage rave ever. And that's like I really fell in love with the thing, man. Like, wow.
Amazing, man. So it was almost like I feel it was almost like a little bit of a kind of pilgrimage to come over and go to that first garage rave and see kind of how it actually sounded live in the flesh.
It was, and also I was having a whole different image in my head of what the rave would actually be like. I was amazed at the crowd because back in them times in Paris, like there was no. You had either house music, and me and my people, we couldn't get in them nights. Like we could come dressed proper and that, but they wouldn't let us in. So the house scene was not allowed for us, to say so, and the hip hop scene was very, very light back then. But every night ended in bad troubles, like shootings, stabbings, fights, blah blah blah. So it was shit, obviously. The music was alright, but the energy was terrible. So finding out that you can actually have some, let's say, electronic music, because that's what garage is, and a crowd that is diverse and a proper good vibe, even though there are pyramid boys in the room, that was all new to me, and it made me love it even more.
Okay, cool. So that's quite an interesting thing to kind of obviously talk about then when we're kind of looking at what the music almost represents. It represents a level of harmony and represents almost like a bit of progression to an extent in regards to the thing of like obviously it being music that is from the streets, you know, it is music that's from the underground, but it's not necessarily a place where, let's say, sort of underground activities are going to be taking place as much.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. I mean, that sounds amazing. Like, obviously, when you came over then, what did you kind of imagine what it was going to be like? Did you imagine it would be similar to how it was over in France?
Yeah, I thought it was either going to be very fancy, like the house scene in France, like very posh and that, or probably also very ghetto. I didn't knew that there could be like a sort of in-between, because there was not where I was from, so I couldn't imagine there was and in between somehow, like people dressing fancy, but the rude boys are there, and the music is a big mix of everything as well. So it's like it was basically like if everything I like was all together in one place and one sound. That was amazing, man. So I could hear the reggae influence, which was a big influence for me as well. I could hear some rapping. I could hear the big bass as well. The drums were sharp. Everything was on point, man. That's probably the biggest love story of my life. So
amazing, man. I mean, the whole story of it's amazing, man. And to obviously kind of come into it, like what sort of age were you when this was happening? Just so we can get like a kind of gauge on the sort of emotion you would have been feeling at that time.
I think it was around 19, 20. 19.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was 19.
Yeah, definitely. That almost adds to it, because that almost adds to a level of nostalgia, and I can hear in the way you're kind of talking about this sort of period of your life where you're coming over to the UK and experiencing this sort of rave scene for the first time. I can just imagine the way you kind of talk about it. It is really like a love affair, isn't it?
It is. It's passion.
Definitely, man. It's awesome to hear. It's awesome to hear. So kind of with that then, at what point do you kind of dive into it yourself and go, you know what, this is a bit of me, this is what I want to be kind of making and promoting?
Well, I was already making beats and a lot of rap mixtapes. I must have done, back in that time, I think I was already at 100 and something DJ mixtapes of rap and dancehall. And I was making beats, but I was not that serious about it. And then I told someone, someone who was living in the UK, I told, I want to try and do some garage. And they said, yeah, there's a Jamaican friend of us, a dancehall artist, he likes garage as well. You should do a tune together. So I was like, all right. And that was my first serious tune. It was with Jamaican artist Determine. That was my first serious garage tune. That was, I think, 2000 or 20 or 1. Around them times. Wow.
So we're going really far back here then. We're going proper back to almost like the sort of period where garage was at its sort of original heyday.
Yeah, man. That was the period where you could go any shop on Oxford Street and hear two-step every time.
Amazing, man. The whole story of this is absolutely incredible. So obviously from that, then you've taken the influence, you've kind of grown, you've kind of essentially amalgamated it into what you're already doing, which is from a kind of hip hop and sort of dancehall background. And then obviously moving forward, it does kind of seem like you've become one of the, at least over from here in the UK, it does seem you've become one of the kind of leading figures over there for what is, I'm trying to figure the best way to describe this, what is essentially sort of UK electronic music abroad.
Yeah, man, absolutely. But it happened just like that. I've never had a goal in my life. I've been doing graffiti as well. Anything I do, it's never part of my plan to be like the number one guy, or I never had a plan. Actually, just do the thing I enjoy, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. It doesn't even touches my motivation or anything. I just keep going, man. If I want to do something, I'll do it.
It's just the best attitude to have in general, man. And I think the whole story of it's absolutely incredible, and almost like to an extent the kind of there's a bit of luck involved at the beginning as well.
Yeah. The beginning was really lucky, and the fact that people dig the tune and I could do another one and blah blah blah. And yeah, the whole story of what I've done in music is like a mix of very bad luck and very good luck.
Amazing, man. Well, obviously, thank you for coming on the show this morning and obviously talking through that story. We are going to be moving into a bit of a discussion about what's on the sort of way in the future for yourself, because obviously you are very active. We do see a lot of music. Obviously, when you sent over the tunes for this show, there was a box of about 30 tunes sat there ready to go, and I listened for everything and I picked a few out. We did open up with a track called Super Barrio Clark, which is an absolute banger. We're going to move into a collaboration next, which goes by the name of I think is it Cowboy Kill Confirmed?
Oh yeah, that's the Beat Boss Grind Sound Clash, yeah?
Yeah.
So that was my dub for the first round of the Beat Boss that happened online while the lockdown a few months back.
Amazing, man. I'm looking forward to getting into this then. Obviously, I've done a beat boss myself as well, so I know the kind of pressure that you kind of go under when you're trying to get the tracks together. And obviously this one featuring Ghostly. So how did you first meet Ghostly?
I was listening to his tune, and I do a lot of voice dub plates, and I was talking with Nikki, who was his agent back then. She probably still is, and I was like, yeah, I would like to do a dub with him and Flow down, and I've done these two dubs through Nikki. Big up Nikki, and big up Ghostly and Flow as well, man.
Amazing. Well, we're going to get into this one now then. It's just gone 14 minutes past 9. We are live on Trickstar Radio inside the building with man like DJ Absurd, all the way from Paris this morning, having a wicked time talking about what he's been up to. We're going to be talking about what's on the way in the future in just a second. So keep it locked, people. Don't go anywhere. This is Breakfast with KXVU. Oh, yes.
With KXVU.
Trickstar Radio.